Hi, I'm Dave Wax, the leader of the data team supporting the Democratic Party of Lee County. You're watching Lesson 4 of VoteBuilder 101, a video training series for our precinct leaders. In the previous lessons, you learned how to log into VoteBuilder and create searches. In this Lesson 4, you'll learn about master searches and the procedures for using master searches to create printed lists. In the exercises, I'll show you how to find master searches for volunteers, narrow the search to your precinct, save the search in a folder you create, and then print a report showing all the potential volunteers in your precinct. Master searches are pre-created searches that can be used for many purposes: for recruiting volunteers, for identifying voters by voter temperature, and if you haven't heard about hot, cold, warm, and new Dems, you'll hear a lot more about that. They're used to identify the voters we want to encourage to enroll and vote by mail, and then the voters we want to encourage to vote. We're in the Get Out the Vote effort. We'll focus today on the master searches that are used for finding potential volunteers, and we'll show you how you can print a list of the volunteers in your precinct. In later lessons, we'll talk about how you can create a virtual phone bank to call them and how you can set up minivan to knock on their doors. So, first of all, on the Google Drive, you will see the master search catalog, the procedures for master searches, and the current version of the PowerPoints used in these lessons. And these will be available through our web portal as well, and we'll share the link to the web portal with you. Now, you'll find in the web portal the procedures used with master searches. This is a 22-page document. It has lots of things you could do with master searches, and we'll talk about some of those in this presentation. This is the index to the master searches in the catalog. You can see there are many searches in the catalog, including the ones for finding volunteers and for voter temperature. And let's look at the volunteers a little bit. If you look at the catalog, you'll see more detail about what each of the searches is, and I'll just talk about the volunteer searches a little bit more before the exercises. So you will see that Super Hot Dems County is a master search that finds all the Democrats in Lee County who voted in every possible election in both 2018 and 2020. There was a primary and a general election in 2018, and then two primaries and a general election in 2020. So a Super Hot Dem voted in all 5 of those elections. And I'll bet that includes many of you who are looking at this lesson. Now, 2021 Super Vols County shows voters in Lee County who are marked as having volunteered in one or more past campaigns. That doesn't necessarily mean they actually did anything. I caution that they may just have raised their hand, but it's worth getting in touch with those people. People who volunteered in the past are more likely to volunteer in the future. The next search combines those two lists to eliminate the duplicates, because you might imagine many of the super volunteers are also Super Hot Dems. And then finally, the last search in this list limits the list only to those who've got phone numbers listed in VAN. So if you're going to call them, especially if you're going to set up a virtual phone bank to call them, it eliminates anyone without a phone number. So in the exercises, we're going to choose a master search. We'll narrow it to a precinct. We'll save it in a folder so you can use it again, and then print it as a report. So the first thing you'll do, as always, is log into VAN. In the center of the screen, go find View My Folders and click on View My Folders. Now, when you get to My Folders, you will see at least the master search folders. And those are the 2 folders that have been shared with you. There may be more by the time you watch this. And you'll see I am the owner of those. I'm the one who shares it with you. We'll focus on the one called 2021 Lead DEC Share because that's where the volunteer searches are. So if you click on 2021 Volunteer Share, you'll find that that folder contains many volunteer searches. There are other searches there as well, but many of them now are volunteer searches. So scroll down on the list until you see 2021 Super Hot Dems County, because that's the one we're going to use for this exercise. And when you see 2021 Super Hot Dems County, when you point to it, you'll see a description of the search. If you click on it, you'll see a message that says, are you sure you want to load this search and override your current version of my list? And you'll click on OK. At that point, you'll see the countywide list of Super Hot Dems. It's 19,988 people right now when I did this. It'll be different the next time you look at it because voters in van come and go. So what you'll do to narrow it to your precinct is find Edit Search, which is sort of up and to the right. You'll click on Edit Search and you'll see a drop-down menu. In that menu, you'll see Narrow People. When you point to it, you'll click on it. And at that point, you'll get to the Edit Search page. Now, this is a rather complex page with all the things you can do in a search. So one of the things you can do is to rearrange the order of the items on the page, and I would suggest that you do that. The yellow stars toward the very far right of each of the search criteria indicate a favorite. And when you start, they're probably all dimmed out. But if you click on one of them, there'll just be a white star. When you click on any of the stars, it'll become selected as a favorite, and all the favorites appear first on the Edit Search page to make it easy to find them. So what you're seeing here is some of my favorites. Also, the faint three lines to the left of the stars are used to reorder the groups. They're very faint, they're hard to see, but if you click on any one of those, an icon will appear that indicates that you can scroll, and you click and drag on that icon to change the order, and you can set the order both within favorites and in the ones that are not marked as favorites. I would strongly suggest as you play with this that you learn to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is set up home districts. We've actually been through that in an earlier lesson. You'll select home districts, you'll go to county, you'll click on the drop down, you'll see Lee, you'll select Lee, you will look for precincts. Now, precinct does give you the option of selecting more than one precinct. If you click on the blue precinct, it'll give you a list of all 127 precincts in Lee County, and you can select more than one precinct. But if you only want one precinct, this is what you'll probably do the first time. You just go to click on the precinct drop down, you'll see a long list of precincts, scroll down until you see your precinct. I'm in 117, right near the bottom of the list, so I have to scroll all the way down. And when you click on 117, that precinct is selected. Now, the next thing you want to do is remove all suppressions. We've said that in an earlier lesson. Again, find suppressions, click on suppressions, click on remove all suppressions. At that point, you go to preview my results. Now, there were 19,988 people in the main list. When I click on preview my results, now I see the 144 people that are the super hot Dems in my precinct. And now I can go to run search, click on run search, and I'll see the list of voters. Here are the 144 people. Now, before we print it, we'd like to share it, store it in a folder. So let me just talk about folders for a minute, because my folder shows both the shared folders and your own folders. So this is my folders. You see there are many folders with my name on them, but there's a folder with somebody else's name on it that she shared with me. If you want to create your own folders, just go click on Add New Folder, which is on the same line as my folders. When you click on it, you create a folder. You can create as many folders as you want. Name it with your precinct or name it with your name, so you have a place to store the search. So now we've created a folder. We want to go save the list. So go find Save List As, click on Save List As, and now you're going to set up to save a search. So the first thing you need to do is decide whether you're saving this as a list or as a search. Remember, a list is a specific set of voters. It's static. It's one time, whereas saved searches, as a search, it's a dynamic list. So I would suggest you save this as a search, click on Saved Search. At that point, you'll have a choice as to whether you want to replace an existing search or whether you want to create a new search. So I'll select New Search. At that point, I have to pick what folder to put it in. If I don't have a folder, I could select New Folder. But if you've already created a folder to store it in, just go to Folder, go to the drop down. You'll see a list of all the folders that you can save in. I have a folder called Sanibel 2021 because this is a precinct in Sanibel where I live. So I'll select Sanibel 2021, and that's now the folder. And now what I need to do is to type in a name and a description, and I put in Sanibel Super Hot Dems Precinct 117. So now when I go look in my folder, I'll know what that search is. At this point, I go click on Save, and I now come to the Edit Search screen. The Edit Search screen shows me the name and the description. Now you can change the name and description. You can go in and type a different name, type in a different description if you wish, and click on Save. But since those look okay, I want to go back so I can print the list. To do that, I've got to click on Run Search. When I do that, I'm going to get a message that warns me that it's going to overwrite my list, which is actually not really changing anything, but I have no choice. I just got to go click on OK. And at that point, I am back to my list. And now to print it, I go and find the print icon, click on the print icon. Now, at that point, I get to the print screen, and I have to set up the report that I'm going to use. So the first thing I need to pick is the report format. I do that by clicking on the drop-down menu. I'll see a long list of report formats I can use. Again, scroll up and down to find them. I'm going to use one called Voting History 2012 to 2018. That'll be replaced, perhaps by the time you watch this, by one that's called 2014 to 2020. But this is a very nice report format. You can see what any report format looks like because you can preview it. Preview in blue just to the right of every report format shows you what the report looks like using dummy data. And it's a good idea to look at it. You can get a feel for it. So now that I got a report format selected, I need to pick a script. You don't necessarily have to have a script, but if, for example, you're going to be calling people, it would be a good idea to use a script that's designed for that. So there's a script called 2021 Super Dems Volunteer Recruitment. By the way, the Master Search Catalog tells you what script is most appropriate for this particular report. So if I select that script, it now appears. Now I have to define how I'm going to contact these people. We're going to call them by phone, so we're going to click on the drop down, scroll down till we see phone, click on phone. And then I need to put in a title for the report, so I type in Super Dems in Precinct 117. That's a pretty good description of what this report is. This title is going to appear on every copy of the report that is printed, so it's a good idea to have it be descriptive. And the last thing I need to do is to select the sort order. There's a default sort order that goes with every contacted how. So for phone, it is precinct, phone number, and name. If you want some other order, just click on Clear Sort Order and pick the sort order you want, paying attention to ascending and descending, and show group header. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, I need to make some formatting choices. The defaults are generally just fine. That's to print people and print the footer. But I suggest you play around with some of the other choices so you can see what reports look like when you modify it that way. When you're satisfied you set the report up right, you click on Next. At that point, you come to the PDF file page. And the PDF file page says, oh, if this is a long report, it may take a while to do, so you can go out and come back. But for almost anything you're going to do, it'll probably be done by the time you get here. So all you have to do is to click on My PDF Files, and now you get to the PDF Print Jobs page. And that's where it shows all of the print jobs you have created. So look on that list for the report you just created. It'll actually be right on the top of the list. And on the right-hand side, Download File, click on that, and it will now show you the PDF of your report. If you had a script, it will start with the script, and that's followed then by the voters in the order you selected. So this is by precinct and name. And you will see that in the report, this is a block for every voter. This is what this report produces for each voter, all the details about how they voted from 2012 to 2018, plus their name, address, gender, race, voting registration, lots and lots of information in this report. Also, you'll see the precinct number, unless you took it out when you if you changed the sort order. At the bottom left of it, you will see the name you gave the report. That's why you want to be careful about the name. You'll also see a list number. That's important because if you're going to use any data from this report back into VAN, you use the list number to enter the data back in. Now, list numbers are only good for 30 days, so bear in mind that if you create lists and you intend to use them back into VAN, you'll want to A, remember the list number, and B, do something within 30 days. If you want to print the report out, all you have to do if you're on a Windows machine is to right-click. You'll see this menu, click on Print, or if you want to save it as a file, just click on Save As. So now we've done with that exercise. Let's go look at what you can do next. I would suggest what you do is log into VoteBuilder, pick one of the master searches for volunteers, narrow that search to your precinct, save the search in a folder you create, print out a report showing those volunteers. I would advise you to play with the report formats, get a feel for how they work so that you can use them well. We can create new report formats, so if you don't find a report with what you want, please get in touch with me or another member of the data team, and we can help you either find a report that has what you want or can create a report that'll work better for you. And that's the end of lesson 4.